Yo, what's up? Welcome to the show. I guess you could say that this is my job. I was thinking about that. I got a fat rhyme just now, so I'm going to spit that at you. My job ain't a job. It's just good economics. City to city, I'm talking them comics. All right. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Chris. Sorry if that was cringy. I thought it was fun. This is the weekly spin rack. We're going to talk about a lot of comics. And before we really get started, I just saw a bunch of nice stuff in the chat room before the show even started. For instance, Kevin Connor sent in a super chat. Very, very kind. Dr. Shoebill says, drop a like on the stream. Hey, I'd certainly appreciate it. It really helps this show get pushed to more people. But hello, sorts of people in here. I see Moritaka. I see, oh, wow, this is nice too. Hello, Bat, who says, finally became a patron. Feels good to directly support someone who makes stuff I enjoy. It really does support me in a huge way. My patrons are the main reason I'm able to do this show. So sincerely appreciate that. Hello, Iron Shell. Hello, Bowser. Gray Spate, Tom Smith. I can't keep up now. It's going fast. There's always that delay between when I start talking and like when the chat hears me, and like all of a sudden it goes fast and I can't catch everything. Oh yeah. That's something worth mentioning. I'm glad that you got your Vampirella cover that I drew, and I've seen many people telling me that they got that. The ones that will have like my signature or my sketches that paid for things like that or paid to have it graded by CGC, that stuff takes a little more time. But Dynamite has already started shipping out those books. A lot of people already have them. Really nice. Yep, there's another person. Amen. Thank you so much. Lovely to have you. That's so nice. Oh wow, another early super chat from Mexico, I believe. Thank you, Ultimate Spider Plush. Very, very kind. Very, very kind. Love seeing you all here. Always nice having you here, Andy. You've become a regular presence. We're very lucky to have you, Andy Kuhn, folks. Man, professional artist. We've seen his work on stuff like Fire Breather and Ninja Turtles. Pretty awesome. Let's see. What did the Vampirella campaign get up to at the end? We crossed $17,000. That's pretty respectable, I think. This is my first ever campaign. I learned a lot from it. I have some ideas for some comics I think I'd like to do, and I'll promote that stuff early before I launch a campaign next time. But we'll see. Yes, Steve Sorensen, always nice to have you here. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. That's awesome. Another person saying that they got their Vampirella cover in the mail. Lovely. Folks, we do have a bunch of great comics that I'm excited to discuss this week, but I'm going to save those till after we get through the news. It seems like people seem to prefer me talking the news first, and that's cool. I like that. There's another person. Good. Lovely to have people getting what they paid for. I like that. Let's see. How much money does chat need to give you to sing the Whopper Whopper song? It wouldn't take anything, Steve, but I have to admit, I don't know the Whopper Whopper song. Is that like, I assume, a Burger King song? Yeah, I don't think I know it. It doesn't ring any bells. But anyway, happy birthday to Jamil. Let's up another window here. And we've got my PowerPoint, my classic PowerPoint. Once I have some free time, I think I've mentioned this in a few chats, I want to get myself a new computer, a new machine that can handle graphics better. Once I do that, I plan on sort of having more like links to the actual news and like reacting to the actual videos and stuff instead of putting together this little like document of news. But for now, I'm having fun like putting together these silly little PowerPoint presentations. and then like just saving it as a PDF. So we've got a lot of news this week. Not all of it negative. There's some weird stuff, but I've got some positive stuff mixed in there too. In fact, I just thought I'll just say, like, this variant cover for this Ninja Turtles Stranger Things by Daniel Warren Johnson. Well, hey, I'm a sucker for his work, but I really do like it. I like it quite a bit. I love that they're playing the Ninja Turtles game. That's pretty fun. But the first piece of news, I'm going to start with the biggest. I'm going to start with this right off the bat, folks. Marvel is shutting down the Marvel app, and that was powered by ComiXology. So just to be clear, there were two different apps where you could get Marvel's comics. There was the Marvel app, a dedicated app that was powered by ComiXology. Technically, now that I think of it, you could also just get them through ComiXology. And then there's Marvel Unlimited, which gives you, for a subscription fee, you get access to both new stuff and a huge back catalog. Hold on, a couple super chats just came in. And I just want to mention this too. I've got a cool G.I. Joe shirt. I got this at my comic shop. So shout out to Atomic Comics. Thank you, Francisco Q. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you, Spawn Freak. Also very kind. And you've got a question. What are your thoughts on the current state of Spider-Man? It feels to me like current editorial hates Spider-Man and his fan base. Oh, I don't think anybody hates them. I think everybody's always trying to make money. I think everybody's trying their best. Amazing Spider-Man did kind of lose me because I felt like it was meandering. But we're going to talk about that a little bit in the news. So I'm going to save a few of my thoughts. And cool. Wow. I didn't expect my sister to jump in because she's visiting my dad down in Florida. She's on vacation. So anyway, let's talk about this. So Marvel Comics has announced they are shutting down the Marvel Comics app, which was, like I say, powered by ComiXology. We've talked in the news recently. Amazon has gutted ComiXology. They've made it into a broken mess. It doesn't work very well. There have been a lot of little news announcements that I've talked about with new digital platforms coming out. But this is definitely the biggest indication that ComiXology is just about dead when, a huge company like this disappears. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Shane, appreciate it. Yep. Thank you for ordering the shirt for me. I love G.I. Joe. This has like some distressed look, but for what it's worth, folks, this is all artwork by the late, great Hector Garrido. He did a lot of those painted pictures of G.I. Joe in the first several years of the toy line. Great artist. I see your test, TJ. So, yeah, ComiXology is going away. On the right here, that's Marvel's actual statement. And so what they're saying is that the Marvel Comics app purchases are moving to Marvel Unlimited. The nice thing there is, and probably why they didn't announce that they're leaving ComiXology right away, was because I'm sure they were figuring out a way to transfer these files in a more or less seamless manner so that you don't lose your digital purchases, which is technically not something they had to do. I think it's the right thing to do, to be clear. It says the Marvel Comics app operated by ComiXology will be shutting down on June 2nd, 2023. Very soon. Starting May 2nd, so basically a week, the ability to purchase comics will be removed from the Marvel Comics app ahead of its June shutdown date. While we are disappointed fans will no longer be able to use the app starting in June, we know many readers have built up incredible digital libraries of Marvel Comics on the app. To support you, we will be making digital comics purchases made prior to May 2nd on the Marvel Comics app available and accessible on the Marvel Unlimited app. No Marvel Unlimited subscription purchase will be required to access your previous Marvel Comics app digital comic library. You're receiving this email because you previously made a purchase, blah, 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 blah. Look, it's another reason why sometimes it's nice to own physical copies of comics because they're yours. Digital stuff, it's much more nebulous. So you have to go to like this marvel.com/redeem to sort of move your comics over. And Marvel said that moving forward, you will still be able to buy their comics on the Amazon app, but not through the ComiXology app. And they are still available through other things like Google Play, Apple iBooks, Nook, a bunch of those other things. So yeah, just that's some pretty big news though, as far as digital reading. And how, a lot of people, I think the vast majority, do prefer to read their comics in print. But I am somebody that sometimes buys digital comics. Actually, I buy them quite a bit for certain back issues that aren't easily able to get quickly because I'm doing a review of something and I need to have some reference. I need to like reread some old stuff. Maybe I need an image or something like that. So I do use digital a lot, and there is a nice aspect to less clutter to your life. I'm getting to the point where I think I'd like to sell off a bunch of the comics that I have again. Just to pare it down to the stuff I absolutely love. I don't want to get to the point again in my life where I have like 30 long boxes. I just don't have a lot of interest in having that much stuff. But I do like digital. And I'm glad that Marvel at least has a way for us to not lose those things that we've already paid for. We've seen plenty of times where streaming services, like, you could have bought a digital copy of a movie and then it goes away from that library and you just lose. You've paid for it. You had it for a certain amount of time, but you don't actually own it. Let's see. My condo is way too small to store much. So if it wasn't for digital, I wouldn't be able to hold on to much. Lots of people are in parts of the country or the world where it's not easy to get to a comic store. So they get stuff digitally these days. There's somebody saying, I buy all my comics digitally. I get it. Yeah. Digital by necessity. I get it. ComiXology has never worked well in Canada. Oh, that's interesting. I never really heard about that aspect. I'll have to look into that. So anyway, I thought it was worth talking about because there's a good chance a bunch of you watching this have made a purchase on the Marvel app at some point. There's no need for you to necessarily lose out, even though ComiXology is just crashing. Let's see. EJ, always nice to have you here, buddy. Problem with physical books is the space. I can't even manage my original artworks. Yeah, I know that a lot of artists end up with that problem. They get those huge file cabinets that slide out like thin long drawers. Mark Englert had a really great one. I don't know if he still does over in once he moved to another country. Let's see. So oh, sure. Yeah, exactly. Fernando says comics are hard to come by in Honduras, but there's no reason for you to not be able to read them. Arsnoff, regular in the chat, saying, since moving to Mexico, I've got no local comic shop and had to try ComiXology Kindle. Better than nothing. Right. Oh, yeah. I got a Humble Bundle recently, MF. I got the entire catalog for ElfQuest, which I still haven't sat down and read, but I got the entire ElfQuest catalog I donated $40 to charity for it. That's kind of nice. Topical because you've been reorganizing bookshelves. Yeah. I'm getting to the point where I definitely prefer the experience of having a trade paperback to the floppies, but I like to keep up to date because I do a show about comics. So I like going weekly. It's a fun experience, but I prefer the reading experience of like a full trade that I can put on a shelf. But anyway, that's a lot to say about this topic. I've got plenty more news, so I'm going to move on here. This one, kind of a small update, but Neil Gaiman gave an update on Sandman, which we know is coming back to Netflix for more live action episodes. This was on his Tumblr feed this week, and he spoke about it saying, scripts are written. We are casting the first episode we will be shooting. Sets are being designed. So they're moving forward with that. One interesting note was they said that they're not calling it season 2. Like Netflix is explicitly not calling it season 2. At first, I didn't get that. But thinking it through, I suspect that they may be more referring to it as volumes because it's such a literal adaptation of the work of Sandman. And the story arcs are more like volumes. But that's just a guess. That's just a guess. I did find this little piece of information interesting, though. We know that Dead Boy Detectives, that's a misspelling. It's called Dead Boy Detectives. Another comic book that's getting a live action adaptation. In the comics, that's set in the same world as Neil Gaiman's Sandman universe. It was originally created to be on HBO Max, and then HBO Max dumped a bunch of its comic related shows, but are still the production facility. Netflix picked up Dead Boy Detectives, and Neil Gaiman says that it is in the same TV shared universe. So I don't know if there are certain characters that might make cameos or crossover or what that implies, but he did mention that this week. So I thought I'd mention that. You didn't expect Neil to be on Tumblr. Well, he's not loving Twitter, I'll tell you that. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. He admitted that the portrayal of Despair was weak. He didn't love how they adapted the character of Despair. That was interesting. But we're going to get some other endless characters as the show continues, and I'm very curious to see some of them. Yeah, very curious. There's some great future story arcs. In fact, I would argue that the early Sandman wasn't necessarily my favorite compared to what came later. And I think the TV show did a pretty good job. I would say the only early story I really loved was Dr. Death making all the people in the 24-hour diner slowly go crazy and kill themselves. And I think they adapted that into TV well. I thought that was pretty horrific and a pretty loyal adaptation. You want Nick Offerman for Destruction? Sure. Hey, Nick Offerman for anything. He's great. He's great. A Dreaming spinoff. Okay. Yeah. Well, if enough of us watch it, it could be a thing. We'll see. Netflix, we all know they're ruthless. If you don't have spectacular ratings, they're like, they got 2 seasons. We can leave it on a cliffhanger. There's been a bunch of shows that I got into on Netflix that they just bailed on. One that I missed was I really liked their take on Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It was more inspired by the actual promotion, but I really liked that show. And then it never got any conclusion or closure. So that was frustrating. We'll move on. Here's sort of a fun one that came up this week. That gentleman on the right, if you have never seen him before, is Akira Toriyama. He's the artist and writer, the creator of Dragon Ball, a pretty influential manga series that I have to admit is a complete blind spot for me. I have not watched that cartoon. Some people call it anime. I've educated you. I've never read the manga either. I probably will for the show at some point. A lot of people have asked me to. I'm very ignorant about it. But I do know that it was very influential and that it was very popular. Dragon Ball was something he was making from 1984 to 1985, 1995, and the pages of Shonen Jump with a few comics that were related right before it, and for a couple years after. And he's done sequel Dragon Ball series that he's overseen, but he hasn't directly drawn them. In fact, he hasn't drawn since 2000, when he was working on another shorter manga called Sandland. It's about a world, post-apocalyptic world with very little water, kind of like, Tank Girl or Mad Max, that kind of a thing. And right now, they're actually making a live-action adaptation of Sandland. So on the Sandland website, he spoke about why he doesn't draw anymore. And I've got like a translation of that here that I'd like to read. I thought it was an interesting story. So this is from Toriyama himself. Sandland was finished by scanning the inked paper manuscript into a computer and using software to apply solid colors in my own tones. I probably hardly slept at all. After finishing all the episodes, I lost my beloved wooden pen holder that I had been using since before my debut. It was a pen holder that had become familiar to my hand over a long time, being carved and worn down with a knife and sandpaper. It was a pen holder that had become familiar to my hand over a long period of time. I bought a new pen holder and tried sharpening it this way and that, but it just didn't feel right. Since then, I have used it as an excuse for hardly drawing any manga. He bought this apparently at age 13 or 14? I think I typed 13, but I'm pretty sure it's actually 14. But either way, yeah, he just bought a pen holder that he loved putting his pen in, and I guess he got almost superstitious about it, but he claims it was comfortable. And if you've ever seen his studio, which I have seen, it's a little chaotic. I don't think he's the most organized guy in the world. And he lost it. And he says he just doesn't feel comfortable drawing anymore. So how much of that is true is up to you, but that's what he claims. That's what he claims. Okay, somebody says that it's a very Toriyama-like excuse. Okay, you would know better than me. I did read the manga because of the anime, but I kind of dropped out after I read GT. Dragon Ball had a cool balloon in Macy's parade. Oh, I didn't watch it this year, so I didn't know that. I used to love getting up and watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. He was the first manga artist I really followed. I grew up watching and reading Dragon Ball and playing Dragon Quest, so he holds a special place in my heart. I know a lot of people love him. Yeah. You can relate to the pen holder story? All right. Interesting. When a man loves a pen holder. Yeah, I'd almost be like, if he lost a brush or something, I'd love it, but I did not know that people loved their pen holders that much. He pulls things out of his butt at interviews. Well, that must be a pretty entertaining interview. That's a magic trick. Well, he says he tried Easterly. He tried to get one like that he'd like carve and stuff. He's got more things that he talked about, and he says he could never quite get it the same. Kenny Omega wore a Toriyama shirt on AEW. Well, he spent a lot of time in Japan. I'm sure he has a lot of love for certain things over there. Yeah. He was doing well before Dragon Ball, but it pushed him into superstardom. Yes. He's humongous. Remember Launch? She was a character from Dragon Ball that disappeared because he forgot about her. No, I couldn't name I could name a single character from Dragon Ball because I'm pretty sure the main one or one of the main ones is Goku, but I don't know any others. You could put a gun to my head and be like, name 2 more characters, and I'd just be like, pull the trigger. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure he does not need to draw either, and it's just not super strong. Hey, look at that. Buster, yes. Yeah, thank you for sending in your comic, Aviatrix. I remember. Yours is almost a sort of a post-apocalyptic Mad Max world, but with planes. I like that. I thought it was quite good. So good luck with your indie comic. Surely you know Krillin and Vegeta. No? No, I don't. Here's two more. Vegeta and Piccolo. Piccolo? Well, I guess it's a translation or something, right? Or maybe they're monsters or something? I don't know. I don't know anything about it, guys. I don't know anything. You're laughing at that? Uh, oh, good. Thanks, Mr. Vic. I can't wait to read it. It's not a vegetable. All right, it looks like it's this. Folks, I don't know what to say. I've literally never read it. I've never watched it. I would have no idea. I'm guessing. I'm guessing. Vegeta. Okay. Vegeta. Trunks. I'm assuming people are just saying real names, but you could be messing with me. Vegeta? I don't know. People are laughing, but I'm guessing, folks. I've never heard any of this stuff. Don't you have any nerd blind spots? I'm sure some of you out there have, like, for instance, never seen a Star Wars movie or never seen a Star Trek show. Like, like we have these blind spots. This is one of mine. Steve Sorensen with a super chat. All of the Dragon Ball names are puns. They're puns? Oh, that's really cool, Jamilin. That's really cool. Original Dragon Ball was great. Slowly lost my interest when Goku grew up. Dr. Slump was also one of the best. That's what he sort of broke in with, right? Dr. Slump was his first big hit. Pretty sure. Should I just watch the live action Dragon Ball movie and I'd be all caught up and on the same page with all of you guys? Let's see. You don't know which Ninja Turtle is which. See, that's something I would be like, huh? My nerd blind spot is 100% Star Trek. See, yeah, we all have certain things that it's a nerd hurdle. We don't know it. But I'll tell you something. I just watched season 3 of Picard. I won't say anything about it other than to say that was a spectacular version of Trek. That third season of Picard, seasons 1 and 2, not great. Season 3, fantastic. Just great. Just great. Not sure if you were trolling. Dragon Ball Evolution is not the one to watch. I'm not trying to troll. I don't know what's good and what's not. Sorry. You guys are so funny. Do not watch the live action film. But if the cartoon is something like 50 seasons, how am I supposed to get through all of that? Stay far away from Evolution. That's the movie that actually made Toriyama come out of retirement. Well, that sounds like a positive. Could not agree more about Picard season 3. Thank you, sir. Double salute. This is hilarious. These reactions to this Dragon Ball movie. If you care about your sanity, you must never watch live action Dragon Ball. Watch it. Well, this makes me so interested. I'll tell you, here's something I'm doing for my patrons. Is I'm going to, like, once a month host something on our private Discord where we can watch a movie or a TV show or something together. So if I can find the Dragon Ball movie online, like streaming or something like that, I'm gonna watch it now. I don't care that you guys are telling me it's terrible. I'm gonna, like, watch that with my patrons sometime soon. Watch it and then make a comic tropes about everything they changed. Well, that'll take me a little while, won't it? That'll take me a while, but maybe. All right. That was fun, guys. That was fun to talk about. I knew that would provoke discussion because I knew I don't know anything about it. So I thought that would be fun to talk about. Here's something kind of fun. It's not all bad news this week. There's some dark stuff, but this is kind of fun. Marvel is celebrating 84 years. Wow, that's a long time. That's a long time. I guess that's since the publication of Marvel Comics #1 with Human Torch and Angel and Namor. This will happen in August. So what they're going to do for it, they're going to publish a book called Marvel Age number 1000. And I think they're just pulling that number out of a hat for fun. What are they going to have in it? Here's some of the stories they got. It's an anthology. J. Michael Straczynski and Carrie Andrews on sort of creating the MCU. They said that they'd be not the MCU, the Marvel universe, nothing to do with the movies. Creating it in a backyard. So I assume that'll be like some kids just sort of talking about their favorite heroes. We've got Dan Slott and Michael Allred, who were a great team on Silver Surfer. They're going to do a story on Captain Marvel. Awesome. Rainbow Rowell and Marguerite Savage, they do great work these days on She-Hulk. They're going to do a Cyclops Jean Grey romance story. We've got Mark Waid and Alessandro Capuccio on the original Human Torch, the android. What was his name again? I forget right now. Jim Hammond, I think. Why do I know that? I'd never need to know that. Steve McNiven on Silver Surfer versus Mephisto. Jason Aaron and Pepe Larraz on Thor. Ryan Stegman on Spider-Man. And Armando Iannucci, who's very funny in TV. And Adam Kubert on Daredevil. Also, folks, the return of the Marvel value stamp. The reason why it's hard to get Incredible Hulk number 181 in good condition, because Marvel was putting out value stamps at the time. All that meant one page would have like a character and call that a stamp. It would be like in a stamp size, and kids literally cut it out. So that era of Marvel Comics has a lot of cutout pages. Comic stores that are buying in Marvel Comics from a certain era know to flip through and see if that page has been cut up or not. What would the value of them be? Just you'd have a bunch of stamps. You could collect a few hundred stamps. Yeah, Marvel value stamps return. Damn value stamps. It's a funny thing. Like, I think that was a Stan Lee invention, actually, where he was just trying to create something collectible at a time when comics weren't as collected as they are today. I don't know that they'd be worth zero if they were cut out of the comics. I would say that if somebody has a full collection of Marvel value stamps, I think that there's plenty of collectors that would enjoy buying those. Yes, I agree. There should be a Paste Pot Pete value stamp, and I should draw it. I only want the stamps from the 181s. Well, it was all I don't remember which character it was, but that's probably the most popular missing one or something like that in terms of because that's Wolverine's first full appearance, and so Hulk 181 is very popular, but it did have a value stamp in it, so a lot of them were ruined. Kids love stamps. That was Stan Lee, yes. He got together his men. You know, I don't remember who it was in that era, but he's like, Roy, Jim, get in here. Get John Romita Sr. as well. I've got a brilliant brainstorm for those true believers. We'll put stamps in the comics. No, not stamps that you can lick, but stamps that you can still cut out and keep. It's the perfect plan. Hi, Cat. You want to jump in on this? My cats are getting older, and they're getting more and more chatty. You want to say hello to the chat? We've got Jack here, but it doesn't seem like he wants to jump up. That accent is pretty good. I would go so far as to call it flawless. I'd say that like I've got a flawless impression there. Hey, here you go, bud. Come here. Here we go. Here we go. We're gonna say hello to everybody. No, you're gonna walk on my shoulder instead. Say hi to the chat, Jack. Don't show him your butt. Show him your face. He's getting big. All right. All right. Sorry, folks. You just got the back. And he's gone. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Him and Lily are getting big. We're going to have more people in this house soon. My wife and I have agreed to let her nephew come live with us for 4 months. So, yeah, we're going to have more people in the house. You better be nice to him. All right. He's going to keep talking. That's just his way. My Vin Diesel impression. All right, I'm going to do Vin Diesel talking about value stamps, but you're going to have to give me a minute because this will basically give me throat cancer. Hey, everybody, you need to get Marvel value stamps. The only thing I love more than family is the Marvel value stamp. Well, see the show then. What are you doing up there, bud? I don't need crazy. Hi. He's a cutie. He's a cutie. I love this guy, even if he's kind of rascally. Go get your sister. Go play with your sister. He knows what I'm saying. He speaks a little English. Goofball. All right, we've got more news. my Vin Diesel sounded like dial-up? Yeah, probably. 2 words. Impeccable. Thank you. Vin, I've got the perfect role for you. I want you to play Groot. That sounds great, Stan. Apparently, Marvel has warned one of their writers to avoid conventions. They think that they are going to be the fans, us, we're going to be so mad at this writer that he's in danger. I think that this is an exaggeration built to drum up how much they're hyping Amazing Spider-Man number 26. Zeb Wells is the writer of Amazing Spider-Man, and I respect him quite a bit. I think his Spidey run got hamstrung by crossovers, and it just, it promised something interesting, which apparently they're now dealing with, but I dropped off. Somebody important is going to die in issue 26. Like, Marvel's made that clear, and they're trying to hint that it'll be Mary Jane. I don't believe it. I could be wrong. Maybe they will kill her off. I don't think they will. I've got a lot of reasons, but I guess I don't want to spoil things. But anyway, this is what Zeb told Popverse. He said, I can tease that many people will be very mad at me. I can tease that Nick Lowe, that's the editor, told me not to do any comic conventions after this issue comes out. People will be upset. If you say so, Zeb. If you say so. If it was Mary Jane, yeah, I think people would be upset. I do. I don't think they're going to kill off Mary Jane. It's basically something like the 50th anniversary of when Marvel killed off Gwen Stacy. And I think that they're trying to hint that something similar could happen. But they've already done that. And I don't think they're going to repeat themselves. I think, based on what we know, that it's more likely that Norman Osborn will die. I also don't think that this death will be as permanent as his original death, where he got impaled and was gone for 20 or 30 years. The current Spider-Man villain is like from a parallel universe, basically. So if Norman dies this time at that guy's hands, and I'm just guessing and speculating wildly, that's the kind of thing where you can always go, oh, he's back from the other universe, you know? So who knows? Who knows? Zeb, the fans hate Nick Lowe more than you. Oh, I'm sorry. Was Nick Lowe the previous writer? Is that they're going to kill Gwenpool? Last Dance with Mary Jane. If they did kill her, great title. They're going to kill Gwen Stacy again. That's right. Spider-Gwen is going to guest star, and they're going to kill her off. That would make people mad, actually. That would make me mad. Doc Ock dies again. He's died a couple times. Norman Osborn dying wouldn't make anyone mad. Well, I agree. That's why, but I think that this is all hype. But who knows? Who knows? Nick Spencer was the last writer. Right. Thank you. Yeah, what a comic book phrase. Won't be as permanent as his previous death. In comics, you have to talk about death in the sense of what was the writer's intention, not what actually in continuity ended up happening. I'm a huge Nick Lowe fan. The singer. Aunt May is going to kill Mary Jane. That would make fans mad. That would make it. Oh, let's go beyond the Spideyverse, in Marvel. I had an idea I wanted to do on this show that somebody beat me to. I wanted, so basically, Marvel used to, in the 80s, they put out the handbook to the Marvel Universe, and each page would be a description of the powers and in continuity history of all the important characters. And at the end of that, they had 2 books called the Marvel Book of the Dead, where they talked about deceased characters. I wanted to go through that and say how many of them are actually still dead versus they've been brought back. But Brian Cronin, who writes for Comic Book Resources, actually did that this week. So I should have made that a priority. He got there first. The short story is, it's a pretty small percentage that are actually still dead. Pretty small percentage. Many characters have come back. Many. They already have brought back Madam Web in a sense. It's Julia Carpenter is now Madam Web, just to be clear. I found one of those books of the dead a while ago. They were mostly back alive. Yes. I thought it would be fun, and it is fun. So I encourage you to read that article. Kudos to Brian Cronin for actually doing the research and doing that. Yes, in the Marvel Universe, you got to imagine Uncle Ben is up there just sort of like kicking a stone down the street, going like, talk to. There were 2 issues of Marvel Book of the Dead. It's still pretty fun to read. You back, Kitty? Is that you, Jack? Hold on. I think Lily might have come to visit me. We'll do more news. And if the cat wants to join us, then the cat will join us. It's always up to the cat. These are rumors, folks, but Fantastic Four. While he has definitely not signed, this is pretty close to beyond a rumor and like a definitive thing, because Daniel Rickman is very reliable Hollywood insider. Does not really post crazy rumors. He's up there with some, if you get something from Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter, they've confirmed it. Daniel Rickman is close. And he said that he's heard that Adam Driver is close to finalizing a deal as Mr. Fantastic. It is Lily, but she won't let me pick her up. Adam Driver, definitely not a name I was expecting. I'll be honest. I have to think about this one, but I do think Adam Driver is a good actor, and I do think Adam Driver can play characters where it looks like they're like the character is in their own head thinking. He can play very introspective characters. I'm not against it. He's not that old, Callisto. He's not that old. He'd be able to play. There's a small range where Marvel definitely wants to hire somebody that could conceivably have had a kid but is still not in their 50s or late 40s or anything like that. Because I think that they want to potentially be able to say like that they've had or are about to have Franklin Richards. I really do. Beowulf says I would have picked Michael Cera. Sure. I think Adam Driver's a really good actor. If the only thing you've seen him in is something like, Kylo Ren, I'll just say, dude has a lot of range. He really does. He really does. Marvel would certainly be lucky to sign him. Why didn't they just keep Jim from The Office? Well, a little older. And I think that they just, that was always a one-off appearance, acknowledged that it was a parallel universe. Fans wanted him, so they kind of gave it to us. But I don't think that that was who they wanted in terms of age range for Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. It could have worked. It could have worked. But it looks like it's going to... Look, this isn't that definitive. I just want to make that clear. But I do think it's very likely that what Rickman is reporting is going to happen. So, I've been thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, I could see it. It wouldn't have been my first choice sort of visually, but I can see it in terms of Logan Lucky. Logan Lucky was good. Yep. Bus Driver and Patterson. Yep. I'm not against it. It's I'm warming up to it because I've known about this for a few days, and I've warmed up to it. The other one is a little more confusing for me. Now, this is way more of a rumor, but actress Mila Kunis was seen this week having lunch with the director, Matt Shakman, and is said to be one of the contenders for Invisible Woman, Sue Storm. Mila Kunis is fine. I have a harder time sort of imagining her opposite Adam Driver. I don't know what that chemistry would be. Maybe. I'm not against Mila Kunis. She's done a few good things besides, that 70s show. I never saw that sci-fi movie that she did with those Matrix directors. What was that called? Jupiter Ascending? I never saw that. Daniel Craig is Doctor Doom? That's some outside the box thinking. I don't know. Yeah, I sort of agree. Not a fan for her as Sue. Nothing against her otherwise. I kind of agree, but we'll see. We'll see. Yes, the SNL undercover boss. That was actually legit super funny. That was super funny. She was good in Black Swan. That's right. She was. I saw that. She was good in Black Swan. I'd sort of forgotten that role. She was good. She's not a bad actress. She really isn't. But it wasn't who I would have thought about at all. It wasn't. Let's see. Hey, Chris. That's what Joe is saying. Hello back to you, Joe. Whew. Nice of you to stop by. Chris Evans for Johnny Storm. I would say it looks like they definitely want to make sure that they get Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman right first before the rest of the casting falls into place. But I would say a really important role is going to be who they cast as Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom could definitely be more than what they use in Fantastic Four. Doctor Doom is, a Thanos level threat for the Marvel Universe. Like, that's a really important role. McLovin is Johnny Storm. There you go. That's right. She was also in for saving... no, it was Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That's a good movie, by the way. That's a good movie. Charlie Day is Doctor Doom. I really don't want everybody to... I can't do it. I was trying to do a Charlie Day impression, but it hurt my voice too much. Can't do it. But he was honestly pretty darn good as Luigi in that Super Mario Brothers movie. Tucker Carlson is available for Doom. That's okay. That's okay. That's a fine suggestion. I don't need them in there. I was starting to do a good impression. Yeah, it was hard though. Anyway, the only thing we know for sure is that the movie has Matt Shackman directing. I liked what he did on WandaVision quite a bit. I'm open to seeing what he can do with Fantastic Four. I'm totally fine with that. And we know that they just got Josh Friedman to write the script. Now, I am a fan of Josh Friedman because of what he did in creating and writing the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I think that's a tremendously underrated show. I think it was great. And he also created the adaptation of Snowpiercer for the TV version. Remember, that was also a comic. That was a bande dessinée from France. And he's writing all the new Avatar movies, which is a pretty high profile gig. But of course, he's doing that like really for executing James Cameron's vision. You all have lots of casting ideas. Casting is always kind of fun to talk about. Boy, I've never heard that. Denzel for Doctor Doom. I feel like Doctor Doom definitely needs to have some sort of Middle East or Eastern European, an Eastern European accent. I think he needs to. Yes, I know. I only have 3 little bullet points for the Fantastic Four thing. Wait a minute. I'm glad I'm not the only one who loved Sarah Connor Chronicles. It's actually my favorite Terminator thing. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, Denzel for Blue Marvel makes a lot of sense, actually, if they ever want to go that way. What's the drunk lady from Fox's name? She could play Agatha's nosy neighbor. I don't quite know what you're getting at for any of that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I agree. For me, the Terminator canon is Terminator 1, Terminator 2, 2 seasons of Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. Forget the rest. Although the last movie had some good ideas, just didn't quite work for me. I'd be happy to cameo in the new Fantastic Four movie as long as I get to play Paste Pot Pete. So Matt Shackman, let's have lunch. I think I'd be a great Paste Pot Pete character. I've got some ideas on his backstory. I've got some ideas. Now I'm going to go into some more Marvel movie rumors. This time for Deadpool. Okay, so again, they are rumors. I think that these are less likely to be accurate, but they could be. They could be. Ryan Reynolds was on Entertainment Tonight Canada recently. He's always given his hometown these scoops, but he said that the Wolverine that Hugh Jackman will be playing in the movie will be a very different version. We know that it's going to involve alternate realities. So this is probably why Hugh Jackman was willing to come on board, is he's technically not playing the Wolverine that he played in the original Fox movies. He'll be playing some sort of parallel version. And there are rumors that he will actually be wearing a comic book outfit with the headgear. I hope that part's true. I would love to see Hugh Jackman in a Wolverine costume with a cool helmet. Wolverine has a pretty iconic mask. It's crazy that the Fox movies never used it. Crazy to me. But the big rumor that came out this week, and I don't put a lot of stock into it, although it makes sense, but it is a very much a rumor. The rumor is that Deadpool and Wolverine will both be working together as partners for the Time Variance Authority that we saw from Loki, and that's why Owen Wilson will be in the movie, and that their job is to prune a variant timeline where Magneto and the X-Men work together and they rule the world, like they've taken over. Magneto is successful somehow. That would explain why some of the names we know, like we know that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are supposed to be in this movie. That would sort of make sense. We've also heard that Morena Baccarin Stefan Kapechik and Karan Sony are all returning. Those last three are all from the Deadpool movies. His girlfriend, Colossus, Dopinder, the taxi driver. So we know that they're all coming back. If it does involve parallel worlds, that would let them play with Marvel characters and Fox characters because technically it's a parallel world. So we'll see. We'll see. The reason Fox, excuse me, the reason Marvel has supposedly not started doing their own X-Men stuff is they are waiting for contracts that Fox had signed to expire. When Disney bought Fox, they inherited those contracts, which were basically versions of pay or play deals. In other words, if you recast Storm, Wolverine, Professor X, etc., you would not only have to pay that new actor, you'd also have to pay the original actors that have Fox contracts that are still going for at least another year or two. So this would be a way for the MCU to basically still get to use those characters in a fun way that is not a permanent casting. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Yeah, Brianna Hildebrand was also pretty darn good as Negasonic Teenage Warhead. So that hopefully she does return, but we'll see. There's a funny Wanted poster by the TVA where they want to go after the Doctor for crimes against the sacred timeline. That's a good gag. That's a good gag. And you know what? It's funny that you say that because the TVA has not been used a lot in Marvel Comics, but Walt Simonson used them in his Fantastic Four run. And if I'm remembering correctly, he did use Death's Head. Like the TVA was going after Death's Head. And Death's Head was created in Marvel Comics originally as a guy to go after the Doctor. Death's Head was. He was a bounty hunter going after the Doctor. They also had Death's Head go after some of the Transformers. Those were both in Marvel UK comics. And then Death's Head eventually did make his way into some mainstream Marvel comics. Yeah, Justice Peace. Sort of a parody of Judge Dredd, but part of the TVA. Who is my favorite Wolverine comic artist? Wow, that's a big question. For me, it's Mark Teixeira. Hey, Mark Teixeira did some great Wolverine stuff. I'm inclined to say it might be Mark Silvestri. I am a big fan of the Larry Hama and Mark Silvestri era of Wolverine. I think that they work really, really well. Oh, cool, man. Yeah. A new Simonson Fantastic Four Artist Edition coming out soon. I would love to see his original uncolored pages at actual size. That would be cool. Yup, Barry Windsor Smith has to be up there. Has to be up there. Another person say Barry Windsor Smith. Cast Larry Hama as Old Man Logan. Dude, if I could make that happen, I would. That is an awesome idea. I would love to see Larry Hama actually play Old Man Logan. That is a badass idea. I love Mark Silvestri 80s, 90s era. Yep. I love how Art Adams drew Wolverine. It's amazing how many of these people I've talked about on the show. If we're jumping timelines, it would be fun to see Lady Deadpool, Kidpool, Headpool, Dogpool, even in cameo. It would be fun. We'll see. Hard to choose. He's had a lot of amazing artists on him. Rob Irizarry says John Byrne. Yeah, he did a great Wolverine very early on. Like, what would that be like? Maybe the third artist to draw Wolverine, because we've got Herb Trimpe on Hulk. Then we've got Dave Cockrum when he comes into the X-Men. You know, John Byrne might legit be the third ever artist to draw Wolverine. I'm not sure that he had any cameos or anything before that. It's interesting. Another Barry Windsor Smith, another John Byrne. Sam Keith had a very iconic Wolverine pinups. He had some very iconic covers for Marvel Comics Presents. All right, Lineal Francis Yu. Lineal Francis Yu's American debut might have been on Wolverine, actually. I think it might have been. Thank you for jumping in, J Muse. Take care. Chad Cowder says, Kubert. So, what was that? Was that Andy Kubert that had a run? I think it was Andy that had a good run on it. Frank Quitely. I like Frank Quitely's work quite a bit. So yeah, I liked his Wolverine in New X-Men. Yeah. Another Silvestri. Yep. Hamas acted before. Give him a cameo. I would love it. Give him everything he can get right now. Last year he did get into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame. You see me repping G.I. Joe all the time. I'm a massive fan of Larry Hama. Underrated. Claremont, John Buscema era was awesome. Yes, it was a good era. It was good. Andy Kubert's drawing of Wolverine or Origins. Okay. You know who else isn't getting much mention here, but I think that Frank Miller deserves a lot. Frank Miller drew that original miniseries that he did with Chris Claremont, and I think that he deserves some credit for that. He had a good take on Wolverine there. That was the high point of Frank Miller's artwork. Taskmaster getting his own spin-off movie? Who knows? What do you think of Kelly Jones? Definitely unique. Definitely unique. You think I'm right? Yep. Daniel Carhoonan, thank you for jumping in. You also vote for John Byrne. Totally fair. Oh, wow. Bill Sienkiewicz. Bill Sienkiewicz. He does a very unique Wolverine. That's a nice one. Todd McFarlane. Sure. Just pulled out Fantastic Four 338 to confirm Death's Head. Thank you. I thought that my memory was correct. Oh, Mignola. Mignola crushed it on Jungle Adventure. Great comic. The Jungle Adventure story involved Apocalypse. Wolverine was way outmatched. It was set in the Savage Land. It was a really cool story. Guys, correct me. I'm not an expert on Wolverine's son, Daken, but Wolverine did have a son in the Jungle Adventure story. Was it sort of retconned that became Daken? I don't know. Well, John Byrne has that dope cover of him coming at you. He's got a bunch of good Wolverine. Yeah, it was Adam Kubert. Adam Kubert, not Andy. Okay, Adam Kubert. Guri Hero did a good Wolverine. All right. Byrne, Lee, Trimpey. Okay. Raphael Grandpa did a really awesome Wolverine. I don't think I've seen that. I would like to. I got to catch up. I'm falling behind with all these chats because everybody's got some really interesting Wolverine stuff. You can absolutely pick Jim Lee, and I don't think that's basic at all. Jim Lee really became Jim Lee on X-Men. I mean, he got some notice for Alpha Flight and then Punisher, but come on, Jim Lee became the Jim Lee we all know because of his X-Men work. So that's fair. Paul Smith. I think Paul Smith is always underrated. Great, great X-Men artist that we were lucky to have. Daken is a different kid. Okay. I was just curious. I wasn't an expert on him, but thanks for letting me know. Bunch of people telling me that I'm not right. Okay. I'm seeing names like Jason Fabek, another Paul Smith, Kent Williams, Fred Hembeck. Okay. Joe Madureira. Yeah, that is so iconic because you know what? Like a good artist can make a good picture, but a really good comic book artist can get the acting. You know, so it isn't just the technical stuff. This is an intangible. The acting, And I agree with Andy here that there's that scene where Wolverine has just had the best that the Hellfire Club can throw at him. He's down there in the sewers. He's kind of been beat to hell. He's looking up over his shoulder and saying, like, now it's my turn. And there's some really good acting that John Byrne did there. So yeah, really good. Let's go to the next piece of news. That was fun. That this is what I love, though, is that the news provokes these conversations that we get to have on comics, and that's what I love. So I do not consider that a tangent. I consider that what the show is. This is related in the sense that, hey, Chris Claremont, I think of him when I think of Wolverine, but it's unrelated in the sense that it's about a different X-Men book. And Marvel has said that even though Chris Claremont just wrapped up his 5-issue Extreme X-Men series, he's already about to do something else. So Chris Claremont and Salvador Larroca did a 5-issue Extreme X-Men series. And by the way, Marvel, you better never stop giving work to Chris Claremont, by the way, because he created a 16-year run of X-Men, and every year X-Men was like the most popular book you were putting out. So you better never stop giving him work. You know, Marvel never stopped giving Steve Ditko work. As long as he wanted it, they were offering him work. You know, it was like he wasn't always noticed for that work, but you know, he gave us Speedball, he gave us Squirrel Girl. Ditko still had a lot to offer, and Marvel better never stop giving Chris Claremont work as long as he wants to work. Anyway, this page here was at the back of the final issue. Editor Mark Basso says, "We hope you enjoyed returning with us to the days of Extreme X-Men." It's set in the past, by the way, so that's why he's saying the days of. While the Extreme story has reached its conclusion for now, keep an eye out for these upcoming X titles, and they've got Storm and X-23 Deadly B Genesis? That's stupid. Set during fan favorite moments in continuity. And fear not, Chris Claremont's next exciting X title is already well underway, and we look forward to sharing details on that secret project soon. Cool. That's a good question. I don't think Chris Claremont has an exclusive contract with them, just to be clear. I don't think they do. Marvel Entertainment YouTube put out a video today talking with Claremont and Walton Louise Simonson about the X-Men. I will watch that. You know, yes, that's just, you know, promotional material, but I'm always interested to hear what Chris Claremont has to say, what Louise Simonson has to say, what Walt Simonson has to say. I'm always interested to hear what they have to say. And God bless them for the work they did in the 80s and the 90s for X-Men. God bless them, sincerely. They should bring back Grant Morrison to write an X-Men title. Maybe. I think that the retainer word was a joke, but there are exclusive contracts. But I don't think Chris Claremont has an exclusive one. Oh, 18 minutes. All right. Look, I'm not necessarily going to fight you on that one, Black Phoenix. You know, his best X-Men work was in the 80s. I will say that. But if you like his style, you're not going to hate his new stuff. By the way, I just realized I have not had much to eat today, and I just had this coffee. I legit feel both shaky, sort of jittery, and a little dizzy. I need to have some real food. Chrissy, I'm sure you're not watching this, but if by any chance you are, could you bring me like just something with some protein to eat? I know that's asking a lot, but you know, if we have anything like peanuts or beef jerky, I need to have some protein. I legit feel dizzy. Unfortunately, the shoulder is quite bad, but I appreciate you asking. That was actually tough to get that shirt off just now. Well, then, yeah, okay. I mean, that's an exclusive contract. If he is exclusive to Marvel, then great. I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Anyway, I just think that there are certain people that have produced such important work to Marvel that if they want to work for Marvel, I think Marvel owes it to them to give them work. Um, I would also say, look, Peter David is having some very serious health issues right now. He's had tax issues in the past. You know, yes, he should probably be very comfortable with everything he's done, but my understanding is he's not financially where he needs to be. I believe there is a GoFundMe up right now to help him because of his health issues. And I think that Peter David has given Marvel a lot. You know, the stuff that he did with Hulk alone, but he's also done some really important stuff with Spider-Man. Why don't I take a couple of minutes off to grab something to eat? Maybe I should grab something upstairs and then just like run back down. Kirby should have been on that list. I agree. But remember, he did come back. He did come back to Marvel, you know, in the 70s and gave them some more great stuff. Claremont stories were adapted to 90s cartoon. They sure were. They sure were. Okay, thanks everybody for saying that. So tell you what, I will be right back, but it's just this case where I accidentally didn't eat enough, and I'll find something upstairs and be right back. Let me write a little note explaining to new people that I'm just taking a short break. But you know, sometimes you have to do this on live shows. There, I've got one that says "Be right back" here. So what I'm going to do is put that on the stream. Take this page off for a minute, and I will be right back. Like it shouldn't take me long to find something, but I need something. I feel lightheaded, and it's not a good feeling. So let me do that. Yeah, be right back. I'll be right back, folks. No, it's okay, Chrissy. I'll take care of it. I'll get something. I'll be right back, folks. All right, folks, I'm coming back. Well, that was my own fault. But yeah, all of a sudden I just realized I had a coffee instead of like any real breakfast. And then like I didn't have a lunch. I just was so busy I didn't think about it. My kitty was worried about me, I think. So sorry for that break. Yeah, you don't want to be held. You just wanted to check on me. You're sweet. So I just got a couple things that have some protein too, because I all of a sudden I feel really dizzy. You guys are awesome. Thank you for giving me a couple minutes here. I'll bring back the news and continue. I've got some fun things I really want to talk about. We'll add that. We'll remove this. Will there ever be more Walking Dead comics? Something people ask all the time. Why not? Walking Dead is ridiculously popular. You know, Kirkman has made many TV show spin-offs. There's something like 3 coming. And of course he puts out Walking Dead Deluxe, which is a reprinted colorized version. Well, Kirkman addressed whether there might be ever any sort of sequels to the comic in the letters pages, because he still answers new letters in Walking Dead Deluxe, which I think is awesome, by the way. And not just because I named the letters page. I like letters pages. That's all. So someone said, will there ever be a sequel to the Walking Dead comic book? Will you be able to contract the rights to a comic book sequel to someone? Here's Kirkman's response. I suppose it sounds stingy, but I can't see myself ever allowing anyone else to write a series in this world. It was hard enough letting Brian K. Vaughan write a single issue. That was called The Stranger. It's good. I have talked to another writer about doing another self-contained thing, but I don't know if it will ever come together, and I definitely couldn't see myself ever allowing anyone to do a full-on sequel. I'd come back and write more stories myself before I allowed that to happen. And he said before that if he ever came back, he would never be able to like write it for like another 16 years. It would be something smaller. So that's Kirkman's sort of official response. No worries, Starry. Glad to have you here. You'd rather have more Invincible. Andy, one of your characters met Invincible, right? So you must have gotten to draw Invincible is all I'm thinking all of a sudden. What did I name it? I named it Letter Hacks. If you go back to something like issue 2, maybe it was the first one. I think it was issue 2. I write in a letter that was printed and I said, I think you should call it Letter Hacks. And Robert's like, Letter Hacks it is. So that's a fun little bit of trivia there. Letter Hacks. I'd love to have Invincible back too, actually. I think that there's some more stuff you could do in the Invincible universe anyway. I don't know if I necessarily need more of Invincible himself, but I do like that shared universe he created with some of those other characters. I would agree with you, Callisto, that it doesn't need a continuation. Certainly Invincible is a little more open to continuing with like other characters. But you know what? So is the world of Walking Dead. Like both of those worlds continue and would still have things. We just reached the natural conclusion for the main characters, I think, in those. I have not gotten to draw Invincible, but I did do layouts on Brit. Okay. For some reason, I was thinking you did something with them. That's really cool. Which version of Brit did you do the layouts for? Was it the ongoing one, the first ongoing one, or was it the second one? There were 2 different ongoings, and my late friend Chemo wrote the first one. It was really, really nice. That's not bad. Dead Letter Office. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, you could do more Terra. You should. JLS says he should do a story with his original idea that it involved an alien invasion. So, if you don't know, when Robert pitched Walking Dead at first, keep in mind, he hadn't really done a lot. And Jim Valentino was the guy that was overseeing what books got approved. And he was like, I don't know that that's exciting enough, a world of zombies. I don't know. And Robert was just like, oh, you haven't heard. You know, we got that twist where it's revealed that it's an alien invasion. Yeah, I think that sounds right. Anyway, it was really funny. That got the book approved, but Robert never had any intention of doing that. That said, for the 10th anniversary of Skybound, which was just like several months back, like maybe 6 months back, they released Skybound X. It was an anthology, and one of the stories was the world of Walking Dead if it had been like aliens causing that invasion and the aliens attack. It's pretty funny, over the top stuff. So he did do that. I'm starting to feel a little better. Thanks for your patience. I didn't think this deal would ever be brokered, but a bunch of the Spider-Man movies are coming to Disney Plus. Keep in mind that while Spider-Man is a Marvel character and we've had him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sony owns the film rights to Spider-Man. That's just the thing. Marvel had sold those rights off during their bankruptcy days in the late 90s, mid 90s. But yeah, both the original Sam Raimi trilogy and the first Amazing Spider-Man were both added to Disney Plus this week, and Spider-Man Homecoming and Venom are both going to end up on Disney Plus on May 12th. So the only Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that are not on Disney Plus, just to be clear, The Incredible Hulk, which Universal has the distribution rights for, and then the next two Amazing just Spider-Man home movies, whatever you want to call those, the Tom Holland movies. Those are still not on Disney Plus. However, I think Sony and Marvel are in a good spot, like collaboration wise. And that's why they were able to like broker this deal. Plenty of money on both sides there. And I think it like speaks to the fact that like, I bet you anything we're going to get more Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. If they're doing stuff like this, they're clearly still talking and moving forward on ideas together. They're working on stuff together. So I feel like, even though that's not what this news is about, I feel like it's really likely that they're going to make more. Could this lead to Spider-Man spin-off shows on Disney Plus? Probably not, if I had to guess, because Sony could probably make, their shows like Silk and stuff and sell them to a cable network and get more profit that way. They don't necessarily have to put it on Disney Plus. But anyway, I don't think that there's an official full professional recording of Turn Off the Dark to put on Disney Plus. But I don't know. There is an archive actually of recordings for Broadway shows somewhere. So maybe. Yes, the old Spider-Man cartoon is on there, but that's stuff Marvel owned that was pre-selling the rights to Sony. So yeah. Good question. And I think that they always kept the TV rights to make Spider-Man cartoons. I don't think that they ever sold those off. They sold off the live action rights to a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, but they didn't sell off the animated rights. I'm pretty sure that they always kept the animated rights for X-Men and Spider-Man and stuff like that. They only sold off the live action rights. Anyway, I thought that was cool. I haven't watched Spider-Man Homecoming in a while, but now that it's something I can just pull up on streaming, I'm probably likely to watch that sometime soon. This comic at first I thought sounded like just way too commercial and weird. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, no, you know what? There's a fun story to be told with these characters if you go back to sort of like the Ninja Turtles in the 80s when Stranger Things is set. There's going to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things comic. It's going to come out this July. It is kind of weird though. So that's why I've got it here. The writer of it is a guy named Cameron Chittock, and he told Polygon this. He said, "It's a big cast, but the mystery at the center of the story sees the group split in two, which gives us a little more room to really dig into the character dynamics. Some of those combinations I knew I wanted to explore from the beginning, like Raphael and Eleven. Others surprised me while writing, like Donatello and Max. With the Turtles hosting the Hawkins Kids in New York City, the series examines how these two groups of teenagers have been shaped by where they come from, for better or worse." And the artist, Pharaoh, says that he's going to use the Mirage era Turtles as inspiration, like the sort of original Eastman Laird stuff. It's a pretty wild crossover. But I guess, like, I went to like Google an image for the cover, and I found out that they've put out Ninja Turtles Stranger Things toys together, like one Ninja Turtle and one Stranger Things character. I was like, what? You know, it is weird, but they're both weird. Stranger Things is definitely a little more horror tinged and supernatural tinged, whereas, did I say Stranger Things? Stranger Things is a little more horror and supernatural. Ninja Turtles is a little more science and action, but they are all teenagers. They're basically having like the 6 teenagers from the show are going on like a summer vacation to New York, and that's how they bump into the Turtles. Yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson did a variant cover for it. There's a couple variant covers. IDW is a wild publisher. Sometimes they are. They did do the Ninja Turtle Stranger Things toys. Yeah. I don't know where that idea came from. I don't know where the idea came from, but I like it. So, yeah. Let's see. They should have an episode of Stranger Things meeting the Turtles of the 90s movie. Yeah. Didn't that show Power Rangers have the live action TV Turtles on it once? I think that they did. Hey, look at that. Daniel says he's worked with Pharaoh. Daniel has published a number of comics. I lettered one that he worked on. It was called, I'm so bad at names. What was it called again, Daniel? You should plug it. Any news of the Battle Beast comic series that was teased last year? No, I haven't seen any follow-up, and I've looked, but I haven't seen any follow-up yet. Ninja rap could have a resurgence like Running Up the Hill. Boy, did that song come back in a major way. That was crazy. That was wild. Hold on, I got a message here. Nope, that's not related to this. Loxor. Thank you, Daniel. I kept thinking Voxor, and I was like, well, that's not right. I'm not going to say it. Thank you for correcting me. Loxor. Loxor is a book that I lettered for Daniel, all about transforming robots that are looking into a mystery of why they lost their ability to change. It's pretty good. I'm biased, but I liked it. Hey, I mean, it's only going to be around for so long until those kids are too big. So, you know, if they want to milk it now, like, it's not going to be around forever, I guess. No, not Battle Beasts. We were going back to Invincible. There's a character on that called Battle Beast. In the animated series, it's actually voiced by Michael Dorn, Worf. So it's really good. Spider-Man needs to team up with TMNT 100%. Oh, forget about it. That would be awesome. No, but you know what would also be awesome? Daredevil. Come on. The hand and the foot together. That would be dope. That would be so fun. Come on, IDW. Talk to Marvel. Give us like a Daredevil Ninja Turtles book. That would, I mean, I bet you could get Eastman and Laird back to do like a few pages or something for that kind of an idea. Ninja Turtles, I think, are very versatile. Actually, I think that they're very versatile with like the types of stories you can tell with them, and I like that. Stranger Things A-Team. A million bullets fired, but the only things that get hit are the occasional tire on a car. I grew up watching some A-Team, and it is amazing, like rewatching it, just there's guns everywhere, but nobody ever gets shot. Which, in retrospect, is kind of not a great lesson. Glad a lot of people think that Daredevil and Ninja Turtles would be cool. Can't wait till 40 years from now when they make the Old Man Stranger Things comeback series. Yeah. Remember the 2000s? Whoa, it was so retro. The Turtles are currently crossing over with Power Rangers and Usagi Yojimbo. I'm reading the Usagi Yojimbo one. It's really cool. It's always cool when Stan Sakai does that. Didn't know about Power Rangers, but that's a small nerd hurdle for me. I was too old for Power Rangers when it was coming out, more or less, but I still watched the first, maybe just a year's worth, maybe into 2 years. So I sort of know the original cast. And so I did watch that 30th anniversary special on Netflix, and I could actually follow along with it. It was fine. It felt like it was of a piece with that original show, but I definitely don't know the mythology of what came later. Anyway, it seems like a fun idea for a book. Yeah, we'll see. This one I thought was kind of cool. I don't know how many of you know Steve Scroce. I like his work quite a bit. And he made quite a splash in the 90s at Marvel, working on Spider-Man and X-Man. He also got lured away to work for the Wachowskis doing storyboards for the Matrix movies, which obviously were very successful. Well, Steve Scroce is going to reunite with Keanu Reeves, this time on Keanu's book, Berserker. Keanu is writing, apparently by himself this time, a one-shot, and it's set in the past with his immortal warrior character that he created, B, defending Atlantis from Lovecraftian monsters. So that comes out in July with Steve Scroce on the art. I think that could be a lot of fun. That could be a lot of fun. Yeah. Scroce has a lot of energy to it. A lot of energy. Hey, you guys are so cute today. Why you keep checking on me? Do you want to be on camera? Is that what it is? This one's little Lily. Hi. Hi. Thanks for coming by. Do you want to say hi to the camera? No? Thanks for coming by. All right. Yes, that's what he loves to be called, the Scroach. Kitty came and went. Baby. That has been an accusation that they lifted some of the Matrix plot lines from Grant Morrison's The Invisibles. I believe that Grant Morrison thinks that they did. I don't know. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one, Chem Dog. Scroce did a Doc Frankenstein series. I totally forgot about that, but that was cool. That was cool. Yeah. Right now, Steve Scroce is doing Clobberin' Time, which is essentially the old Marvel 2-in-1 magazine that would always have The Thing teaming up with somebody else. So anyway. I think that sounds like a fun. This is a wild, wild story. So if you see some of these images, we're looking at a hoarder's house, right? It's an abandoned hoarder's house. There's an urban explorer, Devin Dark. He's on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. he came across an abandoned house on one of his shows. He goes like to abandoned areas and explores like, ghost towns and things like that. He came to this abandoned house and it's packed full of 80s and 90s comics and toys. He estimates that it's worth millions. Who knows why it was abandoned, but it's definitely abandoned. He won't reveal what state he's in because he doesn't want like, people to just swarm the area and steal and stuff like that. I don't know what's happening with it, but he does have a YouTube. I'm letting it load. My computer struggles with this. My computer struggles with this. But I will see a glimpse. This is a might want to watch later. Still here on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description once I finish the episode. I'm going to stop it there. But I thought that you... Rocket says, hopefully there's no rat, mouse, poo, pee in that joint. It probably is if it's abandoned. Let's be honest. Some of the stuff is not going to be salvageable. Some of it... Whoa. Bump the mic. Oh, cool. Somebody else already saw it. I saw that video. His channel is awesome. That's cool. I haven't watched it all yet. I only found that out like very recently, but I thought that looked like a lot of fun to look at. Sorry that I froze for a little bit there. Yeah, the computer really chugged to try to show the video. But yeah, there's the link. Could be worth finding out. Yeah, that's an interesting question, Callisto. Since I don't do this, I don't know exactly. If it was up to me, I guess I might do things like talk to either a city planner or even the police just to like get a record of like who owns it, something like that. There should be county records at like the library or the town hall of who owns what. And then I guess I'd potentially talk to a lawyer about like what the rules are in claiming found stuff. But no, from what he said, it seems to be it definitely seems to be abandoned. So, it might be up for grabs, basically. Nice callback. A roguish type says, I think I saw Hulk 181 with the stamp still intact. If it's abandoned, wouldn't that mean the city owns it? Not necessarily. If it was like paid off, it might go to next of kin. There could be like some issues there. I don't think that the city automatically gets it just because it's been abandoned. But he said, anywhere you walk, you're like 2 feet deep in toys. Anywhere you walked, it was at least 2 feet deep. I don't know what happens there. There are plenty of abandoned places. Oh, the owner is still trapped under thousands of copies of Deathmate Blue. That's dark. That is a dark fate. A Terminator dark fate. All right, we're all about the callbacks, but I thought that was interesting. I hope some of you guys are able to watch that and just enjoy seeing interesting, cool stuff getting unburied. A lot of it seemed more 90s than 80s to me, so I think you may be overestimating the value, but it's probably worth quite a bit. It's probably worth quite a bit. I've got some more YouTube news. This is a happy one. Here we go. YouTube grandpa, woo, he's blowing up. So, there's an Instagrammer, Carve TV. He's got 109,000 followers on Instagram. And he posted about a YouTube channel he found that hadn't been like really used in about 2 years called Grandpa Reads the Comics, where the guy would just do lots of short videos reading comic strips and then giving some sort of positive life affirming advice. When Carve TV posted about this channel, Grandpa here had 222 subscribers. He's now at over 281,000. Dwarfs my channels. So yeah, he has returned in a massive way. Like in the last week, he's put out tons of videos where he's just reading, Garfield and the other crappy comic strips of the day. But he just seems so happy to be able to do it. He just seems like a really positive guy, and he's really excited that everybody's watching his stuff again. And I just thought that was kind of wholesome and fun. He seems intact. I'm talking about his channel blowing up, not him blowing up. Time for a crossover. That's really nice. Yeah, it's just kind of sweet. It's kind of funny too, because like I say, on Instagram, Carve TV has 109,000 followers, shouted it out, and now this guy has over 281,000. Now, will they all stick around? Probably not, but it's still, it's cute. It's cute. Just saw you've put out a comic tropes and a viewers comics videos. Way to bounce back. I've got some catching up to do. Bounce back? I never went anywhere. I just wanted to pass that on. There's not a whole lot more to say. It's comics, but it is comic strips, not comic books. And he just sort of like reads the comic and he says something nice. Yes. I don't think this guy would read Vampirella. Hopefully he doesn't address Dilbert. I don't want to find out where he stands politically. He's just too wholesome. Here's a quick one. We just know that Disney had fired Victoria Alonso. She was the VFX chief producer on all the MCU movies since Iron Man. They fired her. She sued them. And I guess they've settled for some sort of multi-million compensation, because that's what happens when you're at that level. But neither of them are issuing a press release. I'm just saying, I think that this issue's done. I really don't have a lot more to say about it. But this one was interesting. Valiant Comics. A lot of us know they're superheroes. Exo Manowar is pretty popular. Bloodshot is pretty popular. I mean, he had a Vin Diesel movie all about me, Bloodshot. They've got some well-known characters, but they're on some tough times right now. They only publish one comic book a month right now, not very much. So they sort of alternate who they're going to talk about that month. But this week they announced a partnership with Blackstone Publishing, where they will publish 4 young adult novels, each based on one of their characters: Bloodshot, Eternal Warrior, Shadow Man, and Live Wire. Basically, I hope that they're well done. I hope it succeeds, because it would be nice to have, it's always good to have competition and more options for publishers. I do think that Valiant has a pretty good array of characters in their arsenal, but they're obviously not a huge company right now. They're kind of pared down. So who knows? It's an interesting idea. Young adult novels are super popular. Oh, did they? They started pimping NFTs? Boy, I'm not surprised. Jim Shooter did not technically start Valiant, but he was very, very, very early on and shaped their superhero stuff. They were a company before him technically, but yeah. Yeah, Archer and Armstrong's a good character. Thank you for the compliment. I'm nailing Vin Diesel. Yeah. Oh yeah, I heard about that actually. A Roguish Type is right. Apparently 2000 AD is also putting out a young adult anthology, but it'll be a comic book anthology for young adults using a bunch of the 2000 AD characters. people set in the world of Judge Dredd, but I don't think Judge Dredd himself. Yeah. I'd have to go back. You know, it is possible that Jim Shooter helped found that company. I think that he was just like, I think that the company existed before they started doing some of the comic books, but I can't quite remember now, honestly. I can't quite remember. It's just been a while since I looked it up. But he definitely formed what they were doing for comics. Yeah, thanks for jumping in, Rick. That's nice of you. People have been suggesting comics companies have a range for younger readers for years. It's a huge market. It's huge. If you get it right, like Scholastic has, that's bonkers crazy. Scholastic stuff like the Raina Telgemeier books, the Bone reprints, stuff like I think Leon. There's a bunch of great stuff that they do. They never had they didn't lose the rights. They were always licensing those. Just to be clear, maybe you know that, but yeah, Solar, Turok, who's the guy in the future that fought Magnus Robot Fighter? I think there was another one. Yeah, they were licensing a bunch of characters early on that went in with their original characters. And it was a good sort of cohesive universe there for a while in the 90s. Honestly, it went off the rails once they lost Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter was running that place with an iron fist, saying like, you know, the continuity is the continuity, and like everything will cross over perfectly. It was very ambitious, but yeah. Good luck, Valiant. If any of you are on Twitter, you saw that there was a lot of drama on it this past week, and it extended to the world of comics with the Spy Family creator, Tatsuya Endo, confused by the checkmark that he got. He posted this on April 21st, okay? Just to be clear, on April 20th, everybody that had a legacy verified checkmark, those went away. So if you were a celebrity or notable in some way and Twitter had previously verified you, Elon has taken those away and now you have to pay for it, right? But then he quickly realized, oh, if you have to pay for it and like nobody of any note has one, there's no seeming value to it anymore. So he started gifting them to a bunch of the biggest content creators on Twitter, like people that like William Shatner, LeBron James, who else? I don't know, maybe Neil Gaiman. I can't remember. I think it was Neil Gaiman got one. A bunch of people. And like the problem with that was that like when you click on it, it says, when you click on the check mark, it says that you have paid for it and given your phone number. But none of these people did that actually. So it's sort of like, it's misrepresentation. I feel like it's a potential lawsuit. Confusingly, Tatsuya Endo, who's an individual, he got this gold one, which indicates a verified organization. And that doesn't cost $8 a month. That costs the organization $1,000 a month. So he posted this of like his character Anya from Spy Family, all confused. And this here reads like, I didn't do anything. So he's like totally confused why he got that. I am too. He's not an organization. It's weird. It's very weird. And you know, if you, oh yeah, that's true. A bunch of dead people got verifications like Chadwick Boseman. We love him for Black Panther. It's like, it's just a mess. I used to love Twitter. Twitter is a mess right now. It's glitchy. It's just broken. This past week, one funny thing was he gave a blue check mark to the account Drill, DRIL, who's just like this comedian writer. in LA that shit posts, and he's super popular, super hilarious. But he gave Drill one, and so Drill would, like, if you change your name, the check mark goes away. So Drill kept changing his name, and they kept adding it back. So someone was like manually, probably at Twitter, like just like following his account and adding the check back again and again. It's so weird. But I thought that this was weird that it extended to the world of comics here. The creator of Spy Family is like, why do I have this? And why does he have it? It would almost make a little bit of sense if it was the blue one. But it's this organization gold one. So it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Why is that's Endo. Again, we talked earlier. A good artist just can create good acting. We're almost done, actually. Got 2 more pieces. Japan is going to be putting a huge effort behind promoting manga. So there's a Japanese business federation called Kaidenren. And they have called on the government to promote manga, anime, and games as the spearhead of the nation's broader economic growth. They know that this stuff has a lot of growth and growth potential worldwide. According to some statistics released just this March by the All Japan Magazine and Book Publishers and Editors Association, the total sales of print, electronic comic books, and magazines increased 0.2% in 2022, which is worth around 677 billion yen, or more, something I can put my head around, just over $5 billion. Just the comic stuff. Print, digital, and magazines that have comics in them. But those sales are worth over $5 billion for the year. That's a lot of money. And that's money that would help the country's economy. So this business organization is calling on the government itself to put some money behind promoting that to even more people and making it easier for that stuff to get into other markets. Interesting that you would mention that. I did pick up Skullface bookseller Honda, and it is a very funny manga. Skullface bookseller Honda-san, is a true account by a lady who has worked in a bookstore for 10 years in the manga section, and she just tells her real life stories about it. It's very funny. It's very funny. Yes, Evie, great point. Similar to Korea's approach to using K-pop and K-dramas to boost the economy. I don't know how they would get compensated, Moritaka. I don't know. That is a concern. But, Japan is looking to grow, and it's just interesting that, like, this is where the Business Federation is making the recommendation as compared to just, new technology. Jacob, thank you so much for the support. I'm glad you got it. Wow, Movie Cyclops, thank you so much for the donation. That really means a lot to me. You got me to read manga for the first time with your Junji Ito episode. Thank you. I'm also obsessively reading Spy Family now based on your recommendation. I'm so excited. To me, it's all comics, and there's always going to be good comics coming from all sorts of places. I'm leaning strongly towards doing a theme month again, which is always hard work, but I'm gathering a lot of information to talk about stuff that's popular worldwide. I think what I'll cover, and it's still like something I'm working on, Phantom, the Phantom, Tintin by Hergé, and Asterix. I think that those 3 I'll cover, and I might do a theme month soon. We'll see. We'll see. A lot of people agreeing that Spy Family is good. Yeah, my wife got me that one. She just heard good things, and so she surprised me, and I love it. So thank you, Chrissy. Sure. Yeah, totally understand. I feel like the US doesn't want manga to overcome comics. It already has. Trust me. Trust me, the US is fine with manga doing well here. It creates tons of jobs here. Translators, printers, distributors, bookstores. It creates so many jobs over here. Even though the comics are made in another country, importing them here doesn't like reduce or take away jobs here. It creates jobs. So like, trust me, America is fine with them being popular over here. America is fine. No, I haven't checked out Baiyi yet, but I do remember it. I sort of backburnered getting that done. Yeah, it's been a week already. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, trust me, like, I don't think anybody's upset by how popular manga is, because I also don't think that it's forcing American comics off the market. American comics could be way more successful if they wanted to be. At least I'm saying like the big publishers. Trust me. If Warner Brothers or Disney ever decided that they wanted to put their efforts into making this stuff cheaper, more affordable, easier to get, they could. They could. It would not be that hard. They are content where things are. They're content. And that's just what it is. Ooh, really? I'm a big fan of Berserk, and Figuarts would be much more affordable than some of the other stuff. I'll probably get those. Yeah, it's popular in Sweden, and I would think the Phantom still is, right? Is it Bergmont or something is the publisher that makes it out there? I'm pretty sure Sweden still publishes new Phantom books, if I'm remembering right. I'll have to double check. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's everywhere now. I don't think that it necessarily has to be positioned as sort of like manga versus American comics, just to be clear. I just don't. Is one more popular these days? Absolutely. But I don't think it takes away from comic sales. If anything, I think it gets people into reading that kind of stuff. And there is crossover. I think there's a lot of crossover. A lot of crossover. There you go. If I hadn't had access to manga, I never would have gotten into comics. I think that's true for a lot of people. I really do. Anyway. Oh, wow. Another super chat. Thank you. I've been to Barnes & Noble several times and had some Gen Z manga readers want me to guide them on what American comics to read. Title recommends. Yeah, I think that if you could tell me, like, I love this manga, tell me what American comic I should try, I think I'd be able to come up with a pretty good recommendation. So, yeah. Thank you. Yes, Egmont is publishing The Phantom. I thought so. Okay. Just wanted to double check. Probably have published the most Phantom. Let's see. One more piece of news. And that is that piracy is estimated to be costing the manga industry millions. So this information comes from the Content Overseas Distribution Association. That's a watchdog association located in Tokyo. They looked at the numbers of how online piracy has affected video, books, video games, music, that kind of stuff. Let's talk specifically comics. That's all I care about. Who cares about games? I'm just kidding. But they say that piracy of manga and other published materials is estimated to have cost creators and publishers between, well, at the end, I'll talk about the dollars, between $2.9 billion and $6.1 billion. They're not saying that like every pirated comic necessarily would result in a sale, but at a certain point, it would probably result in some lost sales. So yeah, that is a lot of money for between $3 to $6 billion. That's a lot of money to be losing to piracy. Japan is working to shut that stuff down. What ways? Well, just like in the most recent past, They've been working with other governments like Brazil and China to shut down piracy sites, can at least slow it down. I am not a fan of piracy. I'm sure a lot of people do it. Um, I I feel like if you find value in it, that you should pay for it, and otherwise you're really sort of stealing money out of the creators and making the industry weaker or making the industry cost more than it should. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of piracy. Yeah, I've heard this argument. I've heard this argument, Cthulhu's. I don't know if manga piracy result really costs loss in sales. I think it does. I think it definitely does. Here's my comparison. In the 90s, there's programs like Napster became really popular, and people were sharing music like crazy. And music sales definitely declined. And then iTunes created a very easy way to get a song for 99 cents, and it rebounded very strongly, and a lot of people got on board. It didn't end piracy by any means, but it did cut it down, and it gave a lot more money to the people, the artists that were creating this stuff. So, yeah, well, I can't get behind that, you know. Yeah, it- you don't have to read everything. I don't think people are entitled to everything. So I would want to get paid for my work if I was putting out a comic. It would really make me pretty sad to hear that people were just stealing it and saying like, "Ah, I couldn't afford it, but I got it. It was interesting." I'd feel pretty bad. I put a lot of work into that, and I'd want to be compensated for that. I think you would too if you being anyone out there, if you created something, you wouldn't want somebody stealing it. You'd want them to compensate you for it. So, uh, there are some things that like I'm trying to think like some stuff falls into the public domain, right? Like that's not theft, that's okay with me. There's those people are long dead. But I do think that there are a lot of books that I would just want the creators to be compensated so that they have the opportunity to create more. If they can't make a living on this stuff, and there's going to be some that are really talented but aren't like the top tier creators, but there's going to be some that you love that are towards, like just having trouble making ends meet. And if they just all of a sudden just can't, they can't make comics. And that disappoints me. Makes me sad. Makes me sad. So I thought it was worth mentioning. Let me really quickly address the comics of the week that I was able to pick up. And I'd love to start with this one. No One. Now, this is a crime mystery comic, and it is complex. Okay. This is only the second issue, so it's still easy to jump on board. Uh, Co-written by Kyle Higgins and Brian Buccellato, art by Geraldo Borges, and it is a complex. Wow, hold on, let me just acknowledge this. Why is it? Thank you, Steve. Russ Heath got screwed over. He sure did. It's a sad, sad story. I like it. I like mystery comics. This one is complex and confusing and stuff. There are murders. There are copycat killers. We don't know the full backstory. And beyond it all, there is a vigilante known as No One, dressed up like a superhero in an otherwise very realistic, grounded world. I don't know exactly where it's going. This comic, though, does have a gimmick that I will mention. So, they make a true crime podcast with each issue with voice actors Patton Oswalt and who's the lady? I'm terrible at names. I forget right now. But you can always pull it up. There's a true crime podcast that goes with this that are like news reporters that are characters in this story. And the true crime podcast sounds like some of the best produced true crime podcasts out there. You don't absolutely have to listen to that, but I will say it's very entertaining, very well done for listening to a true crime podcast. Together, they work pretty well. If you're into true crime, this is the first comic I've seen that really, really sort of captures what that is. Oh, thank you so much for pointing that out. Yes, the actress I was thinking of is Rachel Lee Cook. Thank you. Who was in a comic book movie? What was she in? She was in Josie and the Pussycats. That was her comic book connection. I've been reading some of the Dawn of DC stuff. This is a pretty fun one. Superman. Superman's going up against Parasite. Pretty wild, really animated artwork in here. And he's forced to team up with Lex Luthor for a solution to it because Lex is, such a scientific genius. So that's kind of an interesting mix. Written by Josh Williamson, art by Jamal Campbell. Not my favorite thing on the market right now, but it's really easy to jump in on. I like this even more as far as Superman goes. Batman, Superman, World's Finest, Mark Waid writing, Dan Mora on art. It seems like some billionaires are being targeted and killed, starting with Simon Stagg, and Batman and Superman. Their best guess as to who would have gone after him is Metamorpho, a superhero. But as they investigate this, they realize that there's something not quite right, and maybe Simon Stagg hasn't even been killed. It might have something to do with robots going after billionaires. This stuff is just fun, classic superhero stuff, using powers in clever ways, investigating a mystery. Batman and Robin using detective skills, Superman more of a reporter and investigates things very differently, but they do all work well together. Really, really fun. Really fun. And it looks great. It looks great. She-Hulk is a great romance comic that also mixes in some legal stuff and some superhero action, stuff like that. Rainbow Rowell's doing a great job with it. I love this book. It might not be everyone's speed. One thing that's fun is this represents the 175th issue of She-Hulk ever. And so they've got a backup story here that's just Jen Walters with her closest friends having a book club. And it really makes them each seem like they've got different personalities in a great way. They feel like real people. Romance might not be your thing, but I do like it. This is probably my pick of the week for a comic, though. Punisher. Who would have guessed? Issue 11. Second to last issue. Punisher is working for the Hand. Those are those ninja clan people that are always after Daredevil and Elektra and stuff like that. Well, they've convinced Frank Castle to be their leader in exchange for reviving his dead wife. But as Frank Castle has used them and killed off all sorts of criminals worldwide, he has been getting more and more superpowers from their dark god, the Beast. And now it's finally time for Doctor Strange, Captain America, Wolverine, Black Widow, and Moon Knight to team up to take him down. This is a Frank Castle unlike any that you've seen before. And it also delves deeply into the backstory of his relationship with him and his wife, Maria, who loves him, but realizing like who he was, we realized their relationship was not very good, to be honest. And it wasn't like it was, we're not talking like beating. We're just saying that they never really connected very well. And something happens at the end of this, a huge cliffhanger that could really mess up Frank Castle's potential redemption. Just an incredible, incredible arc for the Punisher. I'm not kidding. I think this book is fantastic. This is nice to see. Been very into the She-Hulk run. Cool. The end of that issue, talking about Punisher, is amazing. It really is. It's something special. Just a couple more. House of Slaughter. This is talking about a character called Jace Boucher down in New Orleans. I do think they get New Orleans right, but this is right in the middle of a big arc of him versus like this house of monster hunters, and it would be very hard to relay what the story is here. Look, I think that the main title, Something is Killing the Children, is the best, If you're really into that world, you get these side stories. You have to be into it already, though. And the last book I picked up was The X-Cellent, and I adored the X-Statix run by Peter Milligan and Mike and Laura Allred. They are back several years later with The X-Cellent, which splits its story between an evil group of mutants called the X-Cellent and the heroes, the X-Statix. And the whole thing is both of them trying to get their celebrity status to the highest it's been. Now, the X-Statix used to just sort of be positioned to be, you know, like stars for the sake of being stars. That was the original run. But in this one, the leader of this evil group, the X-Cellent, is Zeitgeist here. And he has stolen a page from the Book of Vishanti out of Doctor Strange's house, and he's in the process of a spell that will make him a god if he gets enough followers. So now X-Statix and him are both battling over getting followers to prevent this bad guy from becoming a god. And it's a lot of jokes about celebrity culture. It's dark satire, but it's also some fun, like, superhero stuff. But mostly it's poking fun at celebrity culture in a really clever way. I really do recommend it strongly. It's a great, great title, The X-Cellent. I love it. The X-Statix transition from reality TV to social media is such a good fit. Yeah, originally, like, the X-Statix was more about what was popular at the time for celebrity culture, those sort of MTV type reality shows. That was how you were a celebrity. But these days, it's all about social media, and that's what it is. And both times, they've really done a great job. That culture, really good. Is Chris's Extreme X-Men worth a read? I would say if you love Chris Claremont's writing style, yes. Would I call it necessary reading? Not really. Not really. But people's mileage will vary. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mike Allred is definitely still doing it. That's part of what makes it great. His art is definitely very unique, one of a kind. I love it. So good. So good. Same as what Beowulf says here. I'll read anything with the Allreds. I will too. They're a great team. They're really unique. I love it. I love his work. That was a fun episode, folks. I think I've talked about everything we could talk about in terms of comics and comic book news for the week. So I guess that'll do it. I need some real food for like a dinner, but I had a great time talking with everybody. Any last minute questions anybody has about the show or anything? Thank you all for watching my latest video. I just did a fun one on comic tropes that's all about superhero glow-ups, I called them. And I could have done like about 3 or 4 times as many as I did. I had to limit it at a certain point and try to get a good mix through the ages and of different publishers. I could think of a lot of Marvel ones. But I really had fun making that, and I appreciate that it's getting some good traction for that. And thank you for getting my Vampirella cover. I know a lot of you have, and it should be in your mailboxes soon if it hasn't arrived already. I'm going to get a big shipment shortly that I have to sign and stuff like that. So that'll be happening really soon. I could definitely see myself revisiting this for like some sort of a fun thing at some point. Other superhero glow-ups, you know, where they have a great second look, you know, to change with the times or something like that. And the next comic tropes episode is probably going to be another sort of fun one, because I found a few Golden Age characters that are hilariously absurd. The main one I think I'm going to cover first is Dick Cole. Just to be clear, the title of the comic is Dick Cole. Don't say that too fast together. but his best friend is a guy named Rod, who is a coxswain for the rowing crew, also known as a cox. I definitely think that the creators knew what they're doing. It's pretty funny. Yeah, Dick Cole. That's who I'm talking about. That is his name. That's a fair question, Shin. How is my health? Yeah, I'll open up a tiny bit about that. I am still doing tests to find out what is going wrong with me internally. I did a CAT scan with contrast recently, waiting to hear those results. I don't get to see my specialist again until May 30th. So it's going to be a while until I really find out what that issue is. Meanwhile, my rotator cuff, my torn rotator cuff has been getting very, very painful. So I've reached out to my primary care physician again to see what I need to do about that. I asked him for some pain meds, which I never take, but I am in so much pain every day. So hopefully I can get something for that and figure out whether I just need more physical therapy or what I'm leaning towards is some surgery. So I'm still waiting to find out about that stuff. But thanks for asking. Let's see. If I could only buy from one comic publisher, who would it be? If I could only buy from one these days, that's tough. Probably Image, because it's got the most variety and I kind of am passionate about creator stuff. Shueisha puts out a lot of amazing manga these days, so they're up there, and I've got a lot of affection for Marvel stuff. That's a competitor too, but I'd probably choose Image. Tough call. Tough. Let's see. Yes. Dick Cole apparently briefly at a radio show. We'll see. Find out. But I'm probably gonna do a look at his comics. Dick Cole. Love that coffee. Yes, I've read Jack Scioli's Jack Kirby book. Very cool. I love biographical comics. And I'm looking forward to seeing his Stan Lee comic. I'm really looking forward to that. So I think that's a good amount of questions. I'm going to take off, and I'll give you guys the old devil salute. That actually is super painful to do these days. But I love you guys. I had a really fun time doing this show. Hopefully you had a good time watching. Excited to see you next week for more comic book reviews and news. And keep an eye out also for my second channel, Comic Tropes. Going to have some good analysis videos there. Take care, everybody. Keep reading comics.